9.5, the judicial branch interprets the law. The framers intended the Constitution to be the supreme law of the land. That means no other laws or actions by the government can conflict with the Constitution. Protecting the Constitution is one of the principal responsibilities of the third branch of government, the judicial branch. The judicial branch consists of a system of federal courts and judges. Article 3 of the Constitution gives the basic framework of the judicial branch. So Article 3 of the Constitution gives the basic framework of the judicial branch. It establishes the country's highest court, the Supreme Court. It also gives Congress the power to create inferior or lower courts to meet the nation's needs. In addition to protecting the Constitution, federal courts have the power to resolve disputes that involve national laws, the federal government, or the states. People accused of breaking national laws can be tried in federal courts. It's kind of confusing, right? So there's federal courts, there's state courts. So let's read more about this. The federal court system. Congress has authorized two main sets of inferior federal courts. These lower courts are called district courts and appellate. These courts are called district courts and appellate courts. It's hard to remember how to pronounce that. Most cases involve federal laws are first heard in district courts. The United States is divided into large geographic districts. Each district covers several states. Citizens can appeal decisions given in district court, which means asking a higher court to review the case. Courts that review cases are called courts of appeal or appellate courts. An appellate court only considers whether the original trial was fair and legal. A decision by an appellate court can be appealed to the Supreme Court. The powers of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the last stop in the judicial system. Its decisions are final and they are binding on all lower courts. The Constitution does not specify the size of the Supreme Court. Congress has set it at 9 members who are called justices. So the Constitution doesn't say it, but the Congress has set it at 9 members, and they're called justices. These are all of them right there. Well, not right now. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right here, she's passed away. I believe this one. This isn't the current court, so we need to look up and find for sure who the current court is. It's changed quite a bit since this picture. The Constitution says that all federal judges, including Supreme Court justices, serve for good behavior. Once they are appointed, the justices usually serve on the court for life. A dispute goes directly to the Supreme Court only if it involves a state or an ambassador from another country. Any other case comes to the Supreme Court after a trial and an appeal in lower courts. Participants in either national or state courts may eventually appeal cases to the Supreme Court. Only if it involves a state or an ambassador from another country. Any other case comes to the Supreme Court after trial and appeal in lower courts. So that's kind of important to remember. So we can highlight all of that. Every year, lawyers ask the Supreme Court to review thousands of cases, but they agree to consider only about 100. The Supreme Court usually reviews a case only if the justices think that the decision made by a lower court might conflict with the Constitution or a federal law. After hearing statements from both sides, the justices debate among themselves and vote. Supreme Court decisions are announced and explained in writing. These decisions then guide later decisions in lower courts. Early in its history, the Supreme Court defined the power of judicial review. This is the power to decide whether laws and actions by the legislative and executive branches conflict with the Constitution. Courts all over the country rely on the Supreme Court for guidance about what is constitutional. Judicial review gives the Supreme Court great power in its role of protecting the supreme law of the land. You might want to reread this and go back over this a few times so you understand it. And I would suggest like drawing things too. If you could draw little arrows to what the Supreme Court can do and kind of make little things on there. But I think if we look at Chapter 9, we look at not checks and balances, the judicial branch, what is the main job performed by the judicial branch? What different types of courts make up the judicial branch? There's quite a few, and so that can be kind of tricky. What is meant by the term judicial review? So these are the questions that you're looking for when we're looking at this. So remember, there's different types of courts. And so it's all explained underneath here. So we have district courts and appellate courts. So there's lower courts. Then we have the Supreme Court. So the question was, what different types of court make up the judicial branch? So there's those two, and there's also the Supreme Court. So there's those three that you could write down, okay? What was the other question? Judicial review. What is meant by the term judicial review? So judicial review, this is the power to decide whether laws and actions by the legislative and executive branches conflict with the Constitution. Laws and actions by the legislative and executive branches conflict with the Constitution. Just so you know. Okay, hopefully that is helpful to you.